Hi, welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to have a closer look at scenes. We've already seen them in use in a couple of tutorials now. They're basically these things along the side here with the play buttons that allow us to trigger a whole row of clips on different tracks at the same time. And it will also trigger the stop buttons on those tracks. So this is very useful for playing a bunch of different clips that all fit together. And also in that sense it's a good way of storing a number of clips that you think fit well together so that you can then trigger them all at the same time later on. So I find for me personally a pretty common way for me to work is to start off in a session just making up a bunch of clips, either recording them or dragging in some others and changing them. And gradually you start to find that some of them fit together better than others. And what I'll do is put them all into a scene. It's like a way of remembering which ones fit well together. So if you've got clips all over the place here, then you find that some work together, then you want to put them into a scene. And this even goes for DJing, because you might find that a couple of tracks work really well together and you want to keep them together, so that's one way of doing that. There's actually a very handy feature for creating a scene out of a number of different clips that are in different places, and that's called Capture and Insert Scene, and you'll find that in the context menu down here. And the keyboard shortcut is well worth remembering. It's Control plus Shift plus I, or on Mac Command plus Shift plus I. That function is also available up here in the Insert menu. Let me just demonstrate this. If you've got this drum loop playing here, that sample there, this lead sound and this bass line, you'll notice they're all on different scenes. In fact, they're all on 4 different scenes there. But if we use that keyboard shortcut Control plus Shift plus I, then you'll see that what it's done there is created a new scene with all of those already laid out there. And I mean, that wasn't a particularly brilliant example. I've still got that looping conga sound which I wouldn't actually use, but it's just an example. You can see how quick and easy that makes it to build scenes. And you can of course select any scene. If you wanted that new scene to go down here somewhere at the end of all the clips, then you can do the same thing here. So we just want this as a scene now, so just Control Shift I, and it'll put it down there. Now scenes can be handled in pretty much the same way as tracks and clips. We have all the usual options: cut, copy, paste, duplicate, delete, rename. And we also have this insert scene here, which is just for adding a new scene. And we saw it up in the insert menu here. And so it's just basically the same as inserting an audio track or MIDI track, the same thing. And just Control or Command I will insert the scene. Now another really handy thing to know when working with scenes, something that I use quite a lot, is removing the stop buttons on scenes in order to keep certain clips playing when a scene is triggered. So say for example, if we wanted to trigger this scene, number 22, and have all these 3 clips playing, and then in the next section of the song we wanted to just drop back, maybe take out the lead and just have the drums and bass playing or something like that, then rather than copying the clips, what you could do instead is just remove these stop buttons, and you can select more than one either by just dragging the mouse with the button clicked or just holding Shift and then clicking the other one. And then you use the keyboard shortcut Control E or Command E on Mac. And that's in the edit menu, add stop button or remove stop button. It's a toggling function, so if I now put them back, you can see that it's changed here to remove stop button now. So the same keyboard shortcut operates both of them. So now what will happen now that they've gone is when I trigger this next scene, the lead will drop out, this clip here, and these 2 will keep playing. So if we just trigger that, and now trigger the next scene, you'll see it's stopped the lead, and the bass and drums just keep playing because there's no stop buttons there in the scene to stop them. Now this is a very useful way of doing it, because if you were to just copy the clips and you didn't change the colour of the clips to indicate that they're different, then you'd have no way of knowing that what was inside those clips was exactly the same. You might have a copy of this clip here, and if you double click on it and have a look here at the MIDI notes in there, they might be all different, and you wouldn't know at first glance. So it's kind of a fail-safe in a way. It's a kind of a much neater way of using the same clip. And also it just saves you from having to worry about making new copies of the clip. Now, another very handy feature when working with scenes is these two options here, Edit Launch Tempo and Edit Launch Time Signature. Now, that basically gives us the ability to use a scene to change the global tempo or global time signature, basically as it says. And you can access these through this context menu here. So if we wanted to edit the launch tempo and change it to 90 BPM, you can see this has gone orange here, this play button, to indicate that this scene is kind of loaded with a change. It's going to make a global change when it's triggered and change the tempo to 90 BPM. And you can do the same with edit time signature. Just enter your time signature here, and again the button's gone orange. And you'll also notice it's added these semicolons in between here, in between the name of the scene, which is a number in this case, and the tempo or time signature there. Now we can enter these manually as well, just by renaming the scene and including the tempo that we want. So if we type in 125 BPM to take it back to what it was, you need the BPM in there to indicate that it's a tempo. Otherwise it could just be the name of the scene. So if we just hit enter, you can see that button's gone orange there. So if we trigger these scenes, that first one takes it to 90 BPM. Second one sets the time signature to 3/4, and the third one takes us back to 125 BPM. So let's create a fourth one just to take the time signature back to 4/4 and trigger that, and there we go, it's gone back. So that's a very cool little feature there. It allows you to have multiple time signatures and tempos all within the same set and easily trigger them so that you can jump straight to a new tempo or time signature. And just one more thing when working with different time signatures and tempos, you can actually have both in the one scene. You can have a tempo change and a time signature change. They just need to be separated by a single character, like a space or a semicolon. You can see in these examples where we changed it via the context menu up here, it's used a semicolon. That's the default character. Or you can use the name of the scene, so you can put that in between them. So if we name that chorus and then put 7/8, then this scene will change the tempo to 130 BPM and the time signature to 7/8, and it's named so that we know that that's the chorus. Okay, that should be pretty much enough to get you going with scenes. Thanks for watching. See you next time.